Welcome to a Witty Diablo free how-to guide. In this video I will show you how to use the auction house as a demon hunter. I will be focusing on the stat priority that you want when looking for weapons and armor. Bear in mind that these stat priorities that I give you are of my own personal opinion. I do not believe there is any solid proof as to which stat priority is best for demon hunter. However, I do have a good idea on what you will want to focus on. So take this guide and the advice and opinions I give within it into consideration when buying items for yourself. First off, when using the auction house, let's make sure we get these fundamentals down to save yourself time. Basically, you want your level range to be a minimum of 48 up to about 59, depending on what type of item you're searching for and what your price range is. Also, there's the max buyout. Make sure that you don't want to put in too much if you don't want to spend too much. So if you're only looking to spend about 15,000, then there's no point leaving this blank, because you're going to get a lot of items that are way over 15,000 gold. Use the preferred stats to pinpoint what type of item you're after quicker and faster. But bear in mind that the more of these preferred stats you put in, the less items are going to show on the search bar. Thus, you could possibly miss out on something very good if you just perhaps got rid of life on the hit. You might come across something much better just by having two options available other than three. But this is something you'll have to play around with. I will now show a list for what I think the stat priority for Demon Hunter is. Just to remind you that this stat priority is of my personal opinion the best. It is not officially the best, and you may disagree with it. So just bear in mind that it is what I think is the best. Disagree if you will, or agree. This is not something you have to follow to the letter. Use your own judgment on this. The stat priority I believe to be from best to worst is as follows. Max discipline, to movement speed, to attack speed, to crit chance, to crit damage, to dexterity, to has sockets, to chance to crowd control, to hatred regeneration, then to elemental arrow damage. When searching for items, use this list as a general rule for what it is you want on that type of item. Certain items can't have max discipline on them, or movement speed. For example, movement speed is generally restricted to just boots, but can be found on other stuff. Very rarely though. And attack speed is mostly found on amulets, rings, and quivers. Perhaps even your weapon as well, but you wouldn't find them on shoulders typically. So use the list, take it from top to bottom in that order when searching for something. For example, if I had lots of money and I was looking for an incredible crossbow, I would put the level range to 55 just in case there was an awesome one at level 55 for whatever reason. Put my preferred stats as attack speed, then go down to critical hit damage, and then go down to has sockets, because has sockets is actually very good for crossbow. Just search, see what we got. But attack speed can go up to say even 20. We'll try 20. There we go. So attack speed is your main priority, and already we've got 4 weapons up here. Now the best one is 1138 DPS, for example, and we want to check the stats. It has a socket, it has attack speed, and it has critical hit damage. Is there a better item than that? Well, if we perhaps lost the critical hit damage and maybe swapped it for something else like weapon damage, what would we find something better? We have this 1260 bow. Weapon damage, increased attack speed, and a socket available. Now this is where you just have to make your own judgment basically. There is no real right or wrong answer yet, but here's the one with dexterity, and that's less overall damage. So going back to critical hit damage, %84 is a lot. I still don't know roughly what 84% equals to when it comes to being compared with attack speed, but that is a lot. Weapon damage is specifically for weapon damage, which is why it's not mentioned in the list, because when you're looking for items and armor, then it's unlikely you'll find that there. Now, I won't be looking at bows or one-hand weapons, because personally I believe that the crossbow is the best weapon. Now, why do I say that? Well, that's down to how I play. The majority of the time I play solo, so I need to kite a lot. And crossbows tend to focus on higher static standard damage than the attack speed equivalent that you would get with using a two-hand bow, which is faster, and the damage varies a lot, to be honest. But the attack speed is obviously incredible if you can stand still and get away with it. So for example, in team situations where you're using other people to tank for you whilst you sit at the back and attack like mad, if you're in that type of situation, then you may want to just whack on as much attack speed as you can. But if you're playing solo and your attack speed is so high that you've got about 2.77 plus when it comes to how fast you can attack per second, can you stutter step that fast? You have to ask yourself, can you kite and attack 2.77 times every second? The answer is probably no. So this is why you go for crossbows, because they do higher damage and they don't require you to have to sit there to get the most damage out of them, because their attack speed is low enough that you should realistically be able to stutter step and kite and attack on the move as efficiently as you can, getting every shot off available, whilst every shot that does go off is going to do more damage because it's from a crossbow. So you have to put these sort of things into consideration. When searching for amulets, I put the stat priorities as attack speed, critical hit chance, and critical hit damage. And this is what you get. As you can see, the options are all very expensive, and at the moment I believe that you're going to struggle to buy much when looking for the ideal gear, because that's what this is. These are the ideal stats that you could possibly have when searching for armor and weapons for your demon hunter. So I feel that this video would prove more handy in the weeks to come as the inflation rate goes up and the prices on items drop dramatically on the auction house, because whilst they're still this ideal and rare, that's exactly the case. They're rare because they're ideal. But the longer the game goes on, the more chance there are of these type of items dropping, thus increasing your chance of actually buying them, because they'll be at a reasonable price. When searching for a belt, my preferred stats are dexterity, has sockets, and chance to freeze on hit. When searching for boots, I prioritize on movement speed, dexterity, and chance to immobilize on hit. And let's see what the most expensive one is. Well, that's very good. That's the type of boots you want if you've got 900,000 gold to spend. When searching for braces, I prioritize on critical hit chance, dexterity, and has sockets, but there aren't any there, and I don't remember coming across any braces with sockets, so we're going to change that to chance to knock back on hit, and there you go. We'll have to settle for some 80 million gold braces here. When searching for chest armor, I prioritize on max discipline, dexterity, and has sockets. Let's see what the most expensive one is. I don't like the set items so much. Of course you can get the discipline regeneration, which is rather impressive, but the set items aren't good enough to warrant that discipline regeneration in my opinion. So any maximum discipline you can get is a bonus, but obviously you want as much as possible, so preferably 10, at the minimum 8. Cloak is basically the same as chest armor. Cloak is a demon hunter specific chest armor piece, and you're more likely to find max discipline on a cloak. In fact, I'm pretty sure you'll only find max discipline on a cloak. I'm surprised. Let's just check chest armor, and all of these are indeed cloaks. So why are they coming up under chest armor? Then I don't know that. Oh well. Focus on cloak though, preferably, instead of chest armor when searching. When searching for gloves, I prioritize on attack speed, critical hit chance, and critical hit damage. And hey presto! A 200 million gold pair of gloves right there. I wouldn't buy it, would you? When searching for a helmet, I select critical hit chance, dexterity, and has sockets. Let's see what we got. 90 million. A bargain if ever I've seen one. It's even got some critical, yeah, regenerate. Oh, look at that. Worth every penny. When searching for pants, otherwise known as legs, as I think they should be called, but pants is of course the American alternative, so to trousers. We search for dexterity, has sockets, and chance to slow on hit. Let's see how much we can get up to. A set piece, not interested. Oh dear, and those pants aren't very good. For example, you really want to have like 170 dexterity, or knock it down to 140, or knock it down to 110. Ooh, we found something. So then if you didn't like the look of those, you might have to, for example, lose the chance to slow on hits, and then you can knock the dexterity probably up to about 140, and you got a lot more options, so then you might be able to knock it up to 180. Maybe even 210. Maybe even 225. 250? Ooh. Well, there you go. So the question is did you want the, I think there were like 110 dexterity ones with chance to slow on a hit, or did you want the minus the chance to slow on hit, so you don't have that, but you have 250 dexterity on your pants? These are the choices you have to make. When searching for a ring, I'm going to prioritize on attack speed, critical hit chance, and critical hit damage, of course. And there we go, a nice expensive one right there. Beautiful. When searching for shoulders, I'm going to prioritize on dexterity and chance to chill on hit. Now, the other option could possibly be vitality or resistance. I haven't covered those in the stat priorities simply because the demon hunter that I would focus on would be a glass cannon build. So basically when you get hit you're pretty much dead. However, I feel that the vitality would be most useful for your third option if you really can't find anything else to search for, just due to the fact that basically when you do use smokescreen and you've gone over, say for example, an area of effect damage over time ability, which will cause this kind of buggy glitch where your health massively drops down but doesn't quite drop all the way till you die, it can be useful for that. Or for example, when you're against reflect damage monsters, the extra vitality will give you that extra bit of chance to stay alive. When searching for a quiver, your stat priorities are going to be max discipline, critical hit chance, and dexterity. And if you can get all of those, then you're going to have a mighty fine quiver. Bear in mind that you can't search for attack speed for some reason with quivers, probably because they already come with it, but it makes it more difficult to work out which quiver actually has the most attack speed, because some will only have about 10, some will have 14%, and others, if you can get them, will have 15%. Also bear in mind that this one has an extra bonus stat which I would like, that is on my list, which is hatred regeneration. Now I will also mention the follower. I roll with a Templar, so my Templar preferably will have vitality, then strength, then all resistance on pretty much anything that you can get him. So the Templar relic, for example, or the amulet, or the 2 rings he can have, or the 1-hand weapon, which isn't a hand crossbow, which is that one. I don't think the Templar can use that. but he could potentially use this. And of course, last but not least, the shield, which is obviously very important because you want to go for a shield that's got a high chance to block as well, increasing the chance that your Templar will live and distract your enemies. I would like to clarify that when searching for particular stats and priorities, that you try to keep a good balance on your character. This isn't so easy to do when you can't see the overall stats that your character has when you're buying items, but obviously, as you could see through a lot of these items, if I'm going for constant crit chance and crit hit damage, then I might be lacking too much on dexterity, which would probably hurt my DPS too much. So you want to focus on the stat priority that I've given you, but at the same time try to find the right balance. Remember, attack speed, you'd probably want to only have about 2 to 2.4 probably attack speed, at most really, unless you can stand still. And then you want probably at least 1800 dexterity. So if you're not getting that, then you might have to drop down some of the crit chance and crit damage that you're looking for. So as I was saying, in regards to balance, you may want to focus on dexterity more than crit chance and crit damage, depending on your situation. All of that needs to be taken into consideration when buying items, which is why I've taken a more light-hearted approach to this guide, as you may have noticed. It's more tongue-in-cheek because there's no real right or wrong answer, and like most things in life, it's about getting the right balance. So I hope that this guide has helped. I'd understand if it hasn't helped that much, but hopefully it's given you some insight into what to look for your Demon Hunter when buying armor and weapons. So thank you very much for watching. This is Witty. Well, there it is.